Hello, everybody. Ali Duzette here, and we had a crazy weekend. Okay, true or false? The past week and a half has been absolutely insane politically. True, absolutely true. Here on this channel, I try to keep it politically neutral. So just so you know that we're going into it today, I wanted to look at the chart of the moment that Biden allegedly dropped out of the race. Now, why do I have to put it that way? Because apparently there's some like interesting little stuff. I'm just going to share the screen. Oh, by clicking the correct button. Yes, there we go. Okay, this is the thing that I found on dailymail.co, which is, a gossip site, basically. But okay, this Bill Ackman guy is a billionaire, I guess. I'm not really up on Bill Ackman, but he is a little bit suspicious of this. Now, this is a screenshot. This is the screenshot that came out of Joe Biden's Twitter account, which, of course, does Joe Biden run his own Twitter account? The chances are slim, in my opinion. Most people at that echelon have somebody else running their Twitter page. Of course, Donald Trump obviously was running his own Twitter page. But it would really surprise me if he is actually the guy that's typing out the tweets. So he announces on Twitter that he is going to, step down from running for the next term. This is the thing, but notice what is not here. White House insignia, okay? And okay, so this is this recap. That is a little bit of a little conspiracy theory recap, but I think it's worth exploring. Let's recap this historic day. Joe Biden suddenly resigns via Twitter, okay? White House staff finds out afterwards, 1 minute afterwards, okay? Joe Biden's resignation letter is not on official letterhead. His signature is apparently unusual. I'm not an expert on Joe Biden's signature, but here it's underlined, and some places it is not underlined. Of course, the actual letter itself was kind of weird to me because it says that he's going to speak to the nation later this week about his decision. And I thought, my first instinct was, okay, I don't think he made this decision. I think somebody else wrote this for him. Because like, why is there no picture? Why is there no video of him doing this? Just in the modern world, I thought this is kind of weird. He has been saying over and over that he's not going to drop out. And then this thing posts. And I kind of wondered, did he actually agree to that? Or did somebody with access to his Twitter account post this? And I don't know. Apparently, Steve Ricchetti helped write the letter. Jill Biden tweets a heart emoji response. The White House wipes Biden's schedule. The White House chief of staff calls the cabinet and manages the communications. Frank Biden confirms that health is a factor. And earlier in this article, Frank Biden says that he's just gonna enjoy the time he has left with his brother. So the family is suggesting that Biden may have a terminal illness. Joe Biden does not hold a live press conference. Where is Joe? Who knows? Allegedly, he was in isolation with his COVID-19 in Rehoboth Beach at the time of this post that he posted on Twitter. And that is also kind of interesting to me because he was walking around, like for a guy that really loves masks, he was like walking around unmasked, going to these events with an allegedly confirmed case of COVID-19. So that's just kind of interesting. And basically my take on it is that we don't know. Like, I don't really know what's going on. And I don't know that anybody besides Joe himself really knows what is going on. I don't know. I feel like it would be a different game if we saw the video. But let's go ahead and take a look at the chart of the moment because this is the thing that absolutely blew my mind. Now, I originally ran the chart from Washington, D.C., and maybe I'll just edit it for you so that you can see that it's like slightly different. Washington, D.C. Okay. So when I had run it from Washington, D.C., of course, the first thing that stands out is that this south node at 9 degrees of Libra is so close to the ascendant at 7 degrees of Libra. But check it out when we run it from where it actually took place. I assumed it was in DC. I read this article and it said, oh, no, it's actually in Rehoboth Beach. And so check it out when we change it to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Check it out. Absolutely exact within just minutes. Okay. What is that? 11 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that. 9 degrees of Libra. That's crazy. I mean, when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like pretty significant. Okay. Every moment, I'm going to show you this. Let's switch it to minutes. And I'm going to click 1 minute at a time. And you can see, I want you to pay attention right down here to this like 45 seconds, 9:45. Now I'm just going to click these minutes and you'll see that here we go. Like every 5 minutes, the sign is changing. And obviously it changes based on where you are geographically. The rising sign just moves so fast. It just moves so fast. And the exact moment that this tweet was posted out, 11:47 a.m. from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, we have this absolutely exact. That's pretty crazy. Now, the South Node deals with, one of my favorite astrologers is Naomi Fox Reyna, who runs elixology.com. And she, oh no, I'm going to mess up her analogy. I won't mess it up. I'll let her tell us on a different time because I'm like, I'm going to mess this up really bad. But this path, the nodal path, deals with your destiny. Okay. And you're trying to go over here to the North Node. That's like the horseshoe, the lucky horseshoe that your soul, like the goal is to end up over there. And then this side is, I think the analogy that she gave is like, if you're an alcoholic, this is the bottle. Okay. Down there is the South Node is the bottle. Correct me if I'm wrong, Naomi. But down here, the South Node is going to be, it's the baggage. If you look at it, this is the lucky horseshoe. This is the bag. Okay. It's like a little bag. And it's the baggage that we take with us from our ancestors, from our pre-earth life, even from our, our childhood trauma, that kind of thing. That bag is going to be full of the junk we need to process. And it's also full of gifts as well. After you process the junk, then at the bottom, you get the gifts from your ancestors, the gifts from your own childhood, the gifts from your past. And this, it's just so interesting that this would be exactly aligned with the ascendant. It's like the, I don't know, for him, it's like the destiny of this moment for him is fully aligned with his South Node. It's like the opposite of where he's trying to go. Very, very interesting. And I'm going to look at this in the context of his birth chart and America's chart, because I think those are also really interesting. But first, we're going to take a look at this also, because right here, Pluto is at 00 degrees of Aquarius right now, which in itself, I mean, it's kind of a big deal in general. Anytime you get anything at 00 degrees, it's going to be extra potent. Okay. Aquarius deals with it. Aquarius is a very politically aware sign, and it's very interested in humanitarianism and serving the world at large. It's much more interested in making sure that the group is doing okay than that the individual is doing okay. It's definitely a sign that feels good about sacrificing one to save many, which is not true of all of the signs. And Pluto deals with death, rebirth, transformation, power. Okay, so right now in general, with Pluto at 00 degrees of Aquarius, entering into the same placement that it was at during the French Revolution, okay, we got this 20-30 year span where Pluto is going to be transiting Aquarius, and we're going to see some huge, huge, powerful shakeups and transformations in the areas of technology, in the areas of humanitarianism, these questions of what is human anyway, which is going to be especially relevant, I think, in terms of the argument about abortion. When is a human, and artificial intelligence? What is a human? I think as robotics improves and artificial intelligence continues to grow in ubiquity, we're going to have a lot of questions to ask about the nature of reality itself and the nature of what makes a real human. What makes a real human? And so having this right here, and the moon, so Pluto in Aquarius, like it's in Aquarius for everybody, is going to be there for a while. We're all affected by this, but the thing that caught my eye is the moon, because the moon is the fastest moving thing on a chart besides maybe the ascendant. And the moon takes only 2.5 days to transit a single sign. And just hours before this, we had the full moon in Capricorn, and then immediately the moon transited into Aquarius. And to have it so close, this itself is pretty close for the moon, but when I saw that, I thought, oh my gosh, whatever decision, like as they were putting the final touches on this document and deciding like, yeah, the president of the United States is going to resign on Elon Musk's Twitter. Like they were doing that just as the moon was transiting Pluto. Okay. The moon represents our inner feelings, the inner world, the stuff that's going on behind the scenes of your soul, you know, the stuff that's going on in your heart. If the sun is like your mind, then the moon is like your heart. And that was just passing this Pluto, death, rebirth, transformation, a transition of power. That's really what Pluto is all about, is this transition of power from one thing to another thing. I often compare it to the energy of pruning a tree, where Pluto comes in and prunes off all the dead branches so that something new can grow. And what that is a transition of power. We're taking the power away from the dead stuff and allowing the power to flow to the stuff that's alive, which is a really interesting analogy in this moment, with particularly involving Joe Biden, where there's a lot of questions about his cognitive function and stuff of that nature. And so it's an interesting analogy to be pruning off what is not working and making way for something to work, you know? And so this right here just definitely caught my eye. And now, of course, if the south node is conjunct the ascendant, the rising sign, then over here, the north node is going to be conjunct the descendant. And the descendant is, I mean, it's hidden. Where the rising sign is the face that you put out towards the world and everybody sees it. The descendant is the stuff that's happening behind the closed doors. This house right here is the house of marriage and stuff that happens behind closed doors with, two people. And so this is a very interesting placement, that it's happening just as he's going to open the door on a bit of a more private existence, right? Interestingly, with the part of fortune in there and Chiron at 23 degrees, that's the deepest soul wound. He's like entering the zone of facing the deep soul wound about everything that's going on here. And of course, the sun is in the 10th house. Of course, it would be. The 10th house deals with reputation and how the world at large sees you. So what we're seeing is just a very public event that's got a little bit of possibly an unlucky factor to it with that south node. I don't like to use that exact phrasing, but it's kind of, it's probably not what he really wanted. It's probably not what he truly desired to do. I mean, as he has said publicly for many weeks, but literally like the stars aligned and here we are. So let's go ahead and take a look at the double chart. This is the chart against the outside one is America's birthday, the moment of the foundation of America as a nation, the moment we signed the Declaration of Independence. And this caught my eye here, that the sun of Biden's dropout is within just a few degrees of the north node for America, and the part of fortune in particular. That's the one that's actually like pretty tight. And so I'm looking at that and thinking, okay, the part of fortune is where your treasure is. It's kind of like a sign of luck. And so I think it would be too far to say that this is a sign that it's good luck that Biden dropped out. But I do think it's an interesting alignment, if that makes sense. And it will be interesting to look back at this a year from now and say, okay, the sun was conjunct the part of fortune the day he dropped out. Do we see how that played out now? What does that mean? What does that mean for the nation? We're going to see as it plays out. And of course, everybody has their own opinions. So we're going to have to, take that into consideration. Now, this is a slow moving thing. And we had the Chiron exact, America's Chiron. I think we already had it earlier. I'm guessing, I think Chiron must have gone retrograde and that now it's going to go back and whack it again. I could be wrong, any astrology buffs out there, but I thought, man, we just had our Chiron exact Chiron for America. But this little thing right here is going to be kind of making all of us face our deepest soul wounds as a nation, like on a global level. The stars are aligning for us to have to look within and see where we've messed up and kind of pay the price for it. And here we see that at the moment of the Biden dropout, in the context of America's natal chart, that puts Saturn within 5 degrees of the ascendant in the first house, the house of the physical body when you're talking with a person, and the house of kind of like the body of a nation when you're dealing with a nation. And Saturn makes you deal with your consequences. So when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, there's some like interesting karmic action happening here. There is, you know, we've sown some seeds and now they're coming forth to harvest. And we can see this on a micro scale and on a macro scale, and we can see this in a number of different ways. And we're going to continue to see this as this situation plays out. One other thing that I thought was interesting is this Jupiter exact the descendant of America's birthday. So a big expansion of America's descendant, which again is this spot right here, where things transition to be a little bit more private. Like the ascendant is open and public and the descendant is a little bit more on the private side. And it has the name of it is the descendant. And when I saw that, I kind of thought, okay, are we seeing like the Jupiter style expansion of the descent of America in this moment? And I don't know, but that is a thought that came into my mind. So let's go ahead and look at this in the context of Joe Biden's birth chart. This is his rectified birth chart, which just means that a really great astrologer sat down and looked at all of his life events and pinpointed to this must be the moment that he was born at 8:25 a.m. in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Okay. And okay, this is the thing that really stood out to me here, is that when Biden dropped out, the Mercury at that moment was so close to his personal Chiron, which is his personal soul wounds, in the 11th house of you know, sorry, the 11th house is Uranus's house, Aquarius's house. It's the one that deals with politics and publicity and groups of people, and having all eyes looking at this sign for kind of direction and authenticity. And here we have this big soul wound getting highlighted there in him personally. His wounds are being communicated to a large audience. Very, very interesting to me. And this, of course, like his natal Pluto and Jupiter in the 10th house. So it's going to be a big magnification of his feelings of death and rebirth and his need to transform and transition power. Just a very, very interesting situation. Oh, hold on, guys. I've got to turn off my robot for a minute. Uh-oh, the alarm is going off. Okay, and then also his native descendant is at 2 degrees of Gemini, and in that moment that his resignation went up on Twitter, we had Mars at 0 degrees of Gemini, so close to his natal descendant. And oh, look at that, his native Uranus is exact his descendant as well. So, and look at that, he's coming up on a Uranus return, which makes sense because Uranus takes 84 years to pass around the circle. And so here we are, we're almost to 84 for him. But that is always a big shakeup for people that make it to be that old. And I don't know, just a very, very interesting arrangement of stuff going on over there. I had not noticed this before. Let me just look at it for a little second. It's just interesting that all of this Scorpio stuff is happening in this. This is from his natal chart. He has his sun and Venus and the ascendant and Mercury and Mars all really close together. And that's when he was born. It was like that, but all of that is sandwiched right here in the 2nd house for that moment. So what is that? I mean, there's mutual reception, that's Taurus's house, but Scorpio on the cusp there. I mean, Scorpio deals with other people's resources, and it's kind of like he has been a steward of other people's resources. That's what the president is. The president is the steward of other people's resources. He did not personally earn all the money that he has to manage. He did not personally, he's not every single soldier that he directs. You know, he is an individual that's directing the lives of all sorts of other people and their resources. And here it is in the house of your own resources. Take care of yourself, man. And so that is a really interesting dichotomy there. looking at that, you can kind of see how he would feel called to enter a world of politics where he does have this, I mean, this is a little bit of a tight stellium right there. Because it involves the sun, like that's a lot of Scorpio energy that's going to drive him to feel like he should be a person that is responsible for other people's resources, which doesn't have to be a bad thing. We need people that are willing to be responsible for other people's resources, whether they're good at that or bad at that is a different thing, but people are going to feel drawn to do that. And part of that is going to be what's ever going on in Scorpio. So anyway, that is a very interesting thing. I thought I had noticed something interesting when I switcherooed it. Now this is the inside. The inside is Joe Biden's birth chart and the outside is what happened. Okay, now this is what is interesting here is that when we look at it the other way, his fourth house is cusped by Pisces and it ends in Aries. But what do we have in the fourth house? In his fourth house during the moment that he allegedly dropped out, the North Node in the fourth house. What does that mean? It's calling him home. Joe Biden, go home. That is the message of that moment from this exact angle. And it looks like he did that, that's what he did. So some very, very, very interesting alignments there. Okay, well, that is what I wanted to share from that. And I did, so good job for myself. I've been having a real itch to start a new challenge. Now, if you followed my channel or you're hanging out with me on Facebook, then you know that sometimes I'll do a meditation challenge and we'll all meditate for 40 days together. Or we did a 30 days of boundaries and we did 30 days of finances, and all of those are here on my YouTube in little playlists and stuff, and they're just great to do. To help you heal your money issues, heal your boundaries issues. We did, I mean, we've done a bunch of them and they're worth going through. And I want to start a new one. And in this moment, I'm like, do I want to tell everybody what it is? No, come back tomorrow and I'll tell you what it is as we start to set it up. Hopefully if I have it in me to manage it, but today I'm feeling like I do. It's been a long time since I felt like I had the stamina to see something through for 30 consecutive days, but I'm like, okay, no, I think we can do it. We can do it. It's going to be really helpful to everybody. I don't know. I'm really excited about it, but check in tomorrow. I would love to hear any of your thoughts about all of this stuff going on. Remember, we're going to keep it neutral. We don't do any name calling, and I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on everything that I shared. I hope that you have a really good day. Thanks for being here.